Dipti is joining us as well. She's been looking through the washing in the newspapers. You're starting with Democrat presidential hopeful Joe Biden, really narrowing, isn't he, in the party's nomination now?
That's right. Biden riding high, Bernie on the brink. That's a headline from the Huffington Post, the U.S. version of their on their website today, earlier this Wednesday. The headline really says it all, doesn't it? Joe Biden posted big wins over his rival Bernie Sanders. He was victorious in 4 states, including the Midwest state of Michigan and Mississippi, with a strong African-American voter base, something that's been lacking for Bernie Sanders. It's not yet in the bag, though, the New York Times says, but Biden is poised to deliver the biggest surprise of 2020. I quote, "He had such a thorough hold on the party that any collapse would probably require a political U-turn as sharp as the one that precipitated his rise." The editors of the Wall Street Journal evoke what they call the twilight of the Sanders revolution. Unless he can shine, the two men will go head-to-head late in a couple of days' time, actually. The paper noting that the, quote, "mass voter mobilization of the proletariat that Sanders promised simply hasn't materialized." What's it all for, though, you might ask? A Democratic race that started off so diverse has now ended up a two-way race between two old white men, really. And Mike Lester's cartoon for the USA Today really sends this up. The Democrat symbol there, the donkey, unhappy about his lobster, saying it's old, senile and autocratic. But the other option, Biden, is not so dissimilar.
Summing it up for us. Those Democratic rallies in Ohio, they had to be cancelled, didn't they, because of the coronavirus threat in the US?
Yeah, and actually the coronavirus is starting to take up a lot of space in the American papers now. Alarm is growing. Authorities there have stepped up efforts to fight containment of the virus, or fight to contain the virus, rather, including creating the first containment area in the New York area. Students have been told not to return to campus. Classes have been moved online across the U.S. There are more than 1,000 cases in the U.S., and authorities are warning that it is set to rise. Meanwhile, festivals have also been impacted. You've sporting events, music events, including South by Southwest, but also Coachella, scheduled for 2 weekends in April, that has been now pushed back to October. It and its sister festival, Stagecoach, Stewart, brought in $1 billion, over $1 billion in revenue, and drew 600,000 people last year, so you can see why they've had to postpone it now. Obviously, though, with the virus, they've had to postpone it, but users are surprisingly upbeat about it all. There was a great tweet, one user changing the program to Nochella, hosted by The Who, but not The Who as we know it, the World Health Organization, rather,
nice. Featuring
a stellar lineup there, Corona Harris, what was Sick Sean, Black Coffee, COVID-21 Savage, Rage Against the Quarantine. I think that's my favorite one.
Exactly.
Travis not so bad as well.
Something that if I'd heard of half of the bands, that would have been very funny. Diplomatic story for you now on the programme. US authorities have so far been very unsuccessful. This is in diffusing a growing dispute halfway across the world, though, isn't it, Dipti, in Africa? That's
right. Egypt and Ethiopia are locked in a long-running dam dispute. Ethiopia's GERD project was first announced back in 2001. It's described as the continent's biggest hydroelectric power plant and consists of creating a dam near the border with Sudan and filling it within 7 years with water from the River Nile. And that is actually supposed to go ahead this July. Egypt opposes the project, saying it needs the already scarce water supplies from the River Nile for its own people, and has asked Ethiopia to fill the dam in 12 to 21 years to mitigate the impact on its own water supplies. The dispute between the two countries has been going on for 9 years. The U.S. tried to mediate earlier this year, but Ethiopia refused to sign an agreement. Egypt says Ethiopia is acting in bad faith. Ethiopia says it's looking out for its own interests, and with its fast-growing economy, this is a way for it to establish dominance in the region. One writer for the British Daily, The Independent, warns that after decades of talks, a war of words could well lead to, quote, blood on the Nile if both sides don't reach an agreement.
And we're going to end on some positive news. A photo company in the US closed down, leaving dozens of family portraits abandoned. A man sent in to measure the shop for a new lease. He did something, well, altogether altruistic.
Well, I guess you can guess what he did. He found dozens of these photos taken from family portraits, weddings, graduations, births. They were just abandoned when this company went bankrupt. So Brian Benoni and his family on their own time and money, set about returning each portrait to the respective family. He's already returned photos to 63 customers, and with the help of social media is hoping to locate 100 more. And if you've ever done one of these family portraits, you know how memorable they can be. I mean, trying to get everyone into one room at one day, forcing a smile, the unnatural pose, pretending to be happy. It's all part of the family portrait experience.
And it's nice to have them back when they were lost.
That's right.
Nice story. Thank you very much, Deputy Laurent, on France 24. After the break.